Everybody, you're going to want to stick around because I'm going to show you how I built a computer piece by piece from start to finish, and it's relatively easy to do. Hey everybody, I'm Joe Kistel, and recently I built a specific needs computer from start to finish. And I wanted to go ahead and put this video together because I wanted to emphasize that it's not too terribly difficult to build a computer, and oftentimes if you have specific computing needs, it makes most sense to build a computer with the right components for the task that you're going to need your computer to do. Oftentimes you buy an over-the-counter computer, it's not going to be the best for your specific application. Now in this case, I wanted a computer specifically for video editing, more specifically using Adobe products like Adobe Premiere and After Effects. So I built this machine with the parts that I thought would work well for running those applications. So the first thing I did is I did some homework and researched specific computer components and selected the ones I wanted for this build. I chose my components based on what I thought would work best for running Adobe software in the price range that I could justify. So here's what I ended up with. For the processor, I went with the i7-4930K. This is a 6-core processor. It's pretty beefy, but yet it's not at the extreme price level for the Intel processors. For the motherboard, I went with the P9X79 EWS, and it has 4 PCI 16 slots. So that means I can have great graphics card expandability down the road. For the video card, I went with the GeForce GTX 760, and I basically went with a recommendation I found online. JJ from Asus recommended this card as kind of the bang for the buck card in regards to Adobe Premiere performance. For the memory, I went with the Kingston HyperX Fury DDR3 32 total gigabytes of memory. It's 2 separate 16 gigabyte kits. And the Kingston Hyper Fury X series is a high performance memory at a economical price range. Likewise, for the SSDs, I went with 3 240 HyperX Fury SSDs. Again, these are supposed to be high performance SSDs at an economical price point. I also installed a USB 3 card reader, 2 Western Digital Black 3 terabyte drives. For the power supply, I didn't do as much homework. I went with the Ultra X4 850 watts, and what I liked about it was it had modular cables, kind of plug and play, use only what you need, and it had a rebate. For the CPU cooler, I went with the Seaton 240M. It's a maintenance-free liquid cooler. I think it should do well. For the keyboard, I've got the Logitech K740, and what I liked about this keyboard was one, it was lit. I think going with a lighted keyboard is the way to go. Now for the case, this was another thing I didn't spend a whole lot of time researching. I ended up going with the Corsair Obsidian 750D. It was big enough to hold everything I needed, it was compatible with everything I needed, and it came with a rebate as well. For the monitor, I went with the Asus PB278Q 27-inch. It wasn't the cheapest of monitors, but it's a nice monitor. High resolution, got lots of good reviews, so that's what I went with. Before I go into the build, I want to let you know is I did a lot of homework before I started building. I spent a lot of time in the parts. But I also watched a lot of YouTube videos, and where I got a lot of guidance for both these parts in the build are from a few different guys on YouTube. That includes JJ from Asus, Paul from Newegg, Linus from Linus Tech Tips, and Dave Dugdale from the Dave Dugdale channel. So all these guys are very influential in helping me figure out what I wanted to do in both the build itself and the part selection. So I thank those guys a lot. So without rambling on anymore, here's the build process. Alright, to get started here, I'm actually going to take a different approach than I think most people do. I'm a little nervous about putting the motherboard in first and then putting in other things because I'm worried that I'm likely to bang up the motherboard when I put in the other things. So I'm actually going to start this build by putting some of the other devices in there, like the DVD player, and in this case we have a card reader. So I'm going to do that first, and it's pretty simple. So I've already taken the panels off, and I need to get these off here. I basically have to just push from here, like so, and then push right here. It's kind of finicky. Okay. I'm going to put the card reader in first. Now, the silly name of this card reader, it doesn't fit in these bases, as you can tell. It's too small, and it actually didn't come with an expansion slot. So I actually had one, and I painted it black, and I'm going to use that, and I'm going to basically mount this in there. There's a few screws that hold it together, and then slide it in. So this part's pretty straightforward. Have this, like I said, we slide it in. There's a few holes that match in there. 2, 3, 4. So now this whole thing is going to slide into the front of our case. So I'm going to put it at the bottom. Push it in, snaps in place. Good to go. So that is the card reader. Now we have to put in the DVD drive as well. There you go. Snaps right in. I guess we can go ahead and just put this back on. Now we have to take out these two thingamabobbers here. Slide this back on. There we go. So now I'm actually going to do what is probably, in my opinion, the easiest part of this installation. I'm going to install the SSDs, the HyperXs by Kingston. Really excited about these. And our 2 mechanical Western Digital 3 terabyte drives. For the mechanical drives, all we do is take this thing out like this, and then they have these little clips, which makes it pretty easy. Just kind of line those up, bend it out a little bit, slide it in. I'm just putting these here for now. I think these is where I'm going to want these to go, but this may readjust this later. And then what the heck, let's put the other one here. So we're going to slide this one out. Just remember to put the clips, I'm going to put the clips backwards so we can hide our cables. And then voila. Okay, for the SSDs, it's just as simple now. This particular case has these pretty nifty, easy SSD drive holders on the back. Let's get this out of the way. So here they are. 1, 2, 3. There's actually a 4th one that I have out right now. And so to loosen it up, just go like that. To install them, I just go like this. Now these things came with these little offset brackets here. I'm going to go ahead and use those. I don't know if that's necessary. But basically you just pull this back, slide it in, and then snap. And then, alright, so that's one. Okay. Slide it in, perfecto. And then slide it back up in there. There's a couple clips. Down. Pull this back. Slide it until it snaps. And then like that. Our 3 HyperX drives, good to go. Alright, so I think the power supply is the last thing I'm going to install before we start playing with the motherboard. So in this case, we could actually install this a couple of ways. One, we can do it with the fan up or the fan down. The fan sucks in this case, I believe, and so I'm going to put it so the fan's down, so it's sucking cool air from the bottom, and should be good to go. So it's pretty simple. In this case, the back of the power supply is going to line up here, so we want to get it under that lip like that, slide it back. I'm going to use these little nubby deals that came with it, hand threadable. And just screw them down. What's cool about this is since the fan is going to be sucking from the bottom, there's actually this little removable grate that we can, you know, clean all the crunchy stuff off. So that will come in handy. Actually, one last little thing. I'm going to install the back I/O port thingamabobber for the case. So pretty sure that just kind of snaps in, and it should snap right in. And there we go. So now is the time to add the meat to the potatoes. Yeah. I'm going to install the processor and the memory. Here is our kick butt motherboard. And a word of caution, a lot of people recommend grounding yourself out when you do this because you don't want to short anything on the board. In my case, I'm not using anything traditional. I live in an area that's kind of humid. Static electricity is not a huge deal, but I am barefoot and my feet are touching the ground. That kind of grounds myself out. And again, in a humid environment, I'm not too concerned about it, but you know, be your own judge at that. I did clean my hands real good because I don't want any oils on here. First things first, we will put the processor on. I just touched my greasy face and I don't want to do that. The key to this, I understand, is there's an arrow on the processor and there is a corresponding arrow on the motherboard. So what we want to do is remove this, bring it up, the hook one first, and then the triangle deal like that. Okay. So that is very delicate. Now this is the finessey part because those are tiny little pins and you don't want to bend any of those or you are hootie patootie. Now how the hell are you supposed to get the damn thing out of here without breaking it? Okay, be careful when you open these things. It's kind of a pain. Now I really don't want to get my greasy mitts all over this thing. So far so good, I haven't touched anything. Just going to kind of drop it in there. I guess it's okay. Slide this boy back down. Okay. You can see that's already popped this off. Put the hook in now. Man, it takes some pressure. And voila. So assuming I didn't screw that up, now I'm going to put the memory in. Now different boards are not. Now this actually has 8 slots for memory. I'm only putting 4. I'm putting 32 gigabytes of the HyperX. And in this case, the way this motherboard advises is to put the memory in the blue slots if you're using 4. So that's what I'm going to do. Now you'll see that I'm going to open these first. Just open the blue ones, right? Like that. And then three. So there's our populated board. Now we get to put it back in the box. So now that I got the motherboard populated, I need to stick that puppy in there and get it mounted. Now there's the standoffs here, and that's where this board should line up with. Let's take this carefully. Alright, gotta line it up, and then it's all lined up. You gotta use the right screws. In this case, we're gonna put one here, 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 in here. And we don't want to, you know, snug them too tight, because if we ever go to back them out, we could unloosen the standoffs below. We don't want to do that. So I'm just kind of snugging them up. Now I want to install a water cooler. In this case, it comes with standoffs. They go in here like this. Four. And it actually comes with a little wrench thingamaboo, and it will allow me to just crank on it just a little bit more. Yeah, these are standoffs, not too much. Now we got to put the framing on this thing here. Zoom like this. Probably too big of a screwdriver. Pain in the ass. I've got one bracket on the cooler here. I need to put the other one on, and if I had mouse hands it would be a little easier. Itty bitty screws. What this does is it gives us kind of some strength and rigidity. Rigidity. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. Just you know, take some of the load off the actual motherboard itself to this framing here, so we can snug up. All right, so now we're ready to put the thing in the box, and we'll see how well we can do that. First thing you need to do is put some thermal grease in there, and I'm just going to do a little line like so. And now we need to bring our cooler in. So I'm just gonna lay it down. Okay, this is kind of a pain in the ass. Alright, so I'm just tightening them up. You know, kind of randomly. Doing about 5 turns each time. Okay, just snug these up. They're all snug. Snug, okay. The fan, you here, so I'm going to take my itty bitty screw and push it through here. Alright, actually bit. There's actually 8 screw holes here, which I think is excessive, but since these screws are so small, I went ahead and put all 8 in. So now it's nice and secure. Alright, so the last piece of hardware I need to install before we do cables and all that good stuff is the video card. So this is a 2-slot card. So I need to take out 2 of the things on the back plate here, and that's just as simple as unscrewing these bad boys. Okay. Bada bing. Bada boom. And then they just slide right out of there. And then it's going to go into this top bracket here. Just going to slide it up. Alright, and that is the video card installation. And if you want, put a screw back in there. Okay, so it's time to start wiring this bad boy up. So what I'm going to try to do is actually kind of plug things in and work my way backwards. This needs to go up here. This should go through here. So this goes like, here we go. And then we'll come right through here. Okay, and then this end, I'm gonna go ahead and plug this one in now because it's a pain in the butt plug. We want to do the other power supply cable. It's supposed to go to the board. So I'll just thread it through like that. And then it is to get plugged in right there. Alright. So next we need to get power to the video card. And we've got a 6-prong and an 8-prong. Actually, let's put the 6-prong in first. And then let's put the 8-prong in. It's kind of cool, these 8-prongers are flexible. Alright, then we'll thread these back through here probably. Okay, so we got them through here, back through here. You can go ahead and plug these in. Alright, so this is the one from, this is actually the one from the motherboard, the CPU spot. Okay, so this will be the 4-pronger from the video card. And this will be the 3-prong from the video card. Alright. Okay, so now I'm going to deal with these. Now these have to all get plugged into the motherboard, but the motherboard comes with this little nifty bracket thing here that helps us do this. So just going to match them up to what they say. Alright. Alright. Now that these are all connected, this whole plug goes into here. Boom. Pretty easy. Okay, now we want to plug in the USB 2 from the chassis, and we just look, there's a pin missing. You can see a pin missing here, so that's how you line it up. Slide it in there, push it in snug. And then here's the audio from the chassis as well. That goes over here. And again, you can see there is a prong missing, and so it goes in that way, right? Alright. Bada bing! So now I want to go ahead and plug in the fans. And I went ahead and kind of fed some of them through. And let's start with actually the pump first, right here. on the thing. We'll consider that a fan. I'm going to plug this into secondary thing by the CPU here. Okay, so that's power to the pump. Now this here is both of these fans in the cooler. There's a Y adapter in the back, and that's going to go right here on the CPU fan. Alright, so now we have the CPU, or the cooling fans hooked up, and the pump. Or we've got a fan here, and there's a spot down there I'm going to plug this one into. And then we've got this one here. And then we've got this one here. Okay, and now I'm going to hook up this. That is my USB 3 card reader. I also have, you can see here, another one of these. This goes to the USB 3s on the actual box, but I don't have a splitter for that yet, so I'm going to just leave those undone for now and plug in the USB card reader because I use that more so, and it actually has a USB 3 plug right on it. So all we gotta do is line this up carefully, stick her in there, and voila, it's beautiful. Okay, so now I want to run power and SATA cables to the drive. So I took out a couple of solid states so I could get to the mechanical drives. So we will use this for the mechanicals. Okay, so one. Takes a little elbow grease to get them in there. Okay. SATA cable. So I'm going to run all my drives off of SATA 6 just because I have enough. Okay, there's one. There's another L. Okay, so that is the mechanicals. So now we need to do the solid states. So I've got one up here. I'm gonna go ahead and work my way back. So just look at your notches. Okay, one. Okay, there's another one. Put the third one in there. We can run the power to all these guys. Okay, so there's that. Now I want to run the SATA cables. So we'll go like this. 1, 2, 3. Alright, so there's all the cables run to the drives. Okay, so now I just need to plug the drives into the power supply. Yes. Alright, so the power's in now. We can plug the SATA things in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug all the solid states into the SATA ports down here. So, I don't know if you can see that. That's 2. And now for the mechanicals. Alright, so now the drives are all hooked up. I just need to hook up the CD-ROM, and that's the same way. I'm just going to run, in this case, I'm going to run the SATA from up here to down there, and then I'm going to run another power. And finally, after I've got everything hooked up, connected together, had to clean up the cables in the back. So basically I just took some twist ties and zip ties and coordinated the best I could. So the next step was to turn the machine on and install the operating system, and I'm not going to show you that portion, but Paul at Newegg does some pretty good videos on OS installation if you're curious. See, there you have it. There is my machine completely finished, up and running. I'm actually using it to edit this video now, and I'll tell you what, it's pretty impressive. What I really am stoked about is I can actually edit my full res video in real time without rendering or anything. It's pretty phenomenal, and my render times when I export out to movie format are greatly increased from what I'm used to as well. So I'm very pleased with this machine. I'm glad I made a decision to build. I'm very comfortable with the machine. I know everything about it, and it's built specifically for what I needed to do. So at the end of the day, it worked well for me. So I highly encourage it if you have the opportunity to build your own machine for your specific computing task. I appreciate you guys watching this video. Thank you. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and please subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'm Joe Kistel.